have time to talk very in detail, but yeah, let's see if you like it. So first, the most predominant way of collecting data nowadays, at least in the research groups I've been at, is still using paper and the pencil. But what are the risks of this method to collect the data? So it can be quite inefficient. Imagine having to go back in your notebook to see, for example, which categories you have to add to a certain variable, or the data doesn't fit in one page. So then you need to start another one, write again the variables. This is quite inefficient. Then it's time consuming, obviously, both in the field, related with the inefficiency I talked before, and also in the office. So how many times have you spent entering all the data from your notebook to the laptop, and then this can lead to different errors and obviously lots of headache when entering the data. Then missing data. So when you go to the field, you maybe don't have anything telling you that you are missing to collect a certain information on a variable. So and you end up missing some part of the data. Data errors and inaccuracies. This happens a lot with species names, for example. So when different people are collecting data, someone calls it with the common name, another one by ear, and then you get the data and you don't even know which species is that. So yeah, it's not the most appropriate way or efficient way to do it, because then in the data processing, you will waste a lot of time, and also the quality of the data will be much lower, right? Then data loss. I hope this doesn't happen very often, but it's an option that you lose the data sheets when you are going back from the field, or maybe you put it aside and then you don't remember where it was stored. So this is a risk. How can we solve these issues? So one of the options can be the software I'm presenting today, which is called Cybertracker. And what is Cybertracker? It is an icon-based handheld software for data collection, and it was developed by a South African non-profit company, which is called Cybertracker Conservation. And it was first developed as a way to allow illiterate animal trackers in the Kalahari to communicate their environmental observations. And the name Cybertracker comes from two words, so indigenous tracking skills, tracker, and the modern technology, which is Cybertracker. The first prototype was used in 2002 to record information on deaths of animals during an outbreak of Ebola. And since then, it has evolved a bit to become a general purpose data system. Despite its evolution, it still retains the easy to use functionalities, which is quite useful. In terms of its applications, it's quite varied. So it's used in many fields, recording indigenous knowledge, it's used in protected areas, of course, scientific research, community science. So imagine you have a citizen science project and you develop this personalized application and you share it with all the collaborators, so they know which data do they have to get, how to get it, and then you avoid all these data processing issues that comes when you have lots of data sources, right? So I think it's really useful in this case. It's used in farming, forestry, education, and as a more specific example, in some islands in the Seychelles where we work, Fregat Island, North Island, where there are conservation teams where there's lots of turnover of staff. So maybe every year or every 6 months there's new volunteers. The managers are being trained to incorporate this software into their biodiversity monitoring programs. This was last year. So the strengths, why I'm choosing this software and not another one, because there are plenty of them, right? So first, of course, all the advantages that comes with digital versus manual data collection, data errors, saving time, etc. But also one of the main strengths is that it automatically records certain type of data, such as the coordinates, the GPS data. Every observation gets the date, the time, the altitude, the coordinates, and you don't have to do anything additional like checking the GPS and then writing down the coordinates, etc., etc. Then it's compatible with many different devices and operating systems. A couple years ago, we couldn't use it on Mac, but they've introduced this now, so there's even more flexibility. Easy to customize to your own specific data and to your experimental design. As I've said, super easy to use. You can learn how to use it in 20 minutes. And it's free. So you can go to the webpage, you download the software, and you can start making your own application. How does it work? So how's the workflow? It's super easy. First, design the application, right? So when I'm talking about application, maybe a bit confusing because Cybertracker calls application to our own personalized set of screens that we will create within the mobile application. So you will see it when I explain it. Design the application, install it on the device, then collect the data, obviously, and you download the data. So super easy, right? That's 4 steps. So it looks a bit like this. It's a set of screens connected, so it's a sequence of screens, and they can be of different types depending on what we want to collect. So for example, if we need to type something down, we can have a note screen or photo screen, audio, also single select list, in which we can only choose one of the options or multiple ones. As you can see, you can add icons, which makes it even easier. It's really intuitive. Of course, a number keypad. So the good thing about this screen is that you can limit, set the upper and the lower limit, because maybe you don't, the variable doesn't take negative numbers, and you can avoid errors by setting it at 0. And then, for example, if it's a percentage, you don't want it to go above 100. So this will also avoid some typing errors. Number list. So these are some examples of the types of screens. How do we design the application? So there are 2 options. You can download the Cybertracker desktop, which is offline. So you go to the web page, download, install it, and you don't need internet to do to make the application and edit it. But now they've released this new feature of Cybertracker Online. You create an account and you can work online inside your profile, let's say. And the basics are similar, but the looks are different. So here, this is one example of the applications I've used in my PhD. It's one of the first ones, so it's very simple. And here you see all the screens. It doesn't, you cannot see it properly. But these are all the screens that are in the applications in the sequence. And then here you can change, obviously, the name, add an image so it looks a bit prettier. Select which buttons do you want to show in the screen, and then if you go to layout mode, you can fine-tune a bit this application. So change the color of the text, change the background, align it differently, etc. There's lots of things you can do inside it, but at the same time, it's simple. Then, what do you have to take into account when designing the application? It's super important that you have plan your screen workflow really carefully. Okay, so I would recommend to take a piece of paper and sketch it out, all the screens that you will need and then how they are connected before going into the laptop, because you will have everything in your mind quite clear. And then these are some examples of the sequence of the screen. So this is really simple, just one path with the start screen, the save screen. Here you have some branches, And the third one is a bit more complex, in which each branch will lead to a different sequence of screens. So yeah, there's plenty of options depending on your experimental designs and the complexity of the data. Then important to set the GPS and the timer track app settings. What does this mean? So this application allows you to tell the device to get satellite information every 5 seconds, for example, or every 1 second. So it will be getting the information, and then when you go and save that observation, it will be ready to save that data, right? Because if it's not getting that satellite information quite often, then it won't be that accurate because it could have been taken there, right? Then perform trials before. Never trust that it's gonna work. Always try it before, because it can happen that one screen is not properly connected to the next, so it doesn't go forward. You can do this in the desktop application offline, that it has an option to try it, so you can see it, how it looks. And then I would recommend to go and get some fake data, download it, and see if it has the structure that you wanted it to be in. Because yeah, you never know, there's some hidden issues at the back. So now we've got the perfect application, we are happy with it, we've tried it, and then we have to install it in our device, right? There are again 2 options, offline, cable, and now they've made this online option of publishing your application. It will give you a QR code. You go with your device, scan it, and it's synced automatically. So 2 options, both work well. Device types, important too. So as I said, there's lots of flexibility because there's compatibility with most operating systems. I started, well, in the Cybertracker webpage, they provide some information on pros and cons of the different devices. But in the end, yeah, this is the first one I used when I started. It's really sturdy, so it will never break. You can throw it into the river and it won't break. But the only downside is that it's a Windows operating system, so then it's quite, you need to install some extra application and so on to download the data. And also it doesn't have like a big keypad. So you have to type in with this pencil, plastic pencil, and it was really slow. So now you can use, for example, a tablet with a big screen, if you want to be comfortable typing in, but also you can use a small phone, and that's it. But it will depend obviously on your budget and what do you need, especially the environment you are working at. It's really important when you choose your device. So battery life, if you are in a remote place or if you are working long hours, important. You need a device with long battery life, especially if you don't have access to power. Navigation system, if you're in a rainforest where there's clouds and it's really like dense, and the device will struggle to get the GPS signal, important to prioritize navigating systems. The screen size and weight is not the same to be in the lab taking some data with an experiment and going to the mountain and needing to have something small and light. Camera quality, if your data relies on pictures, good pictures, and the fact that it's rugged or not. What does it mean? That is really sturdy, so it's safe against the rain, the water, the hitting it with a rock, wherever. So you can check whether it has IP68 or IP69K certification. In these cases, these ones have that certification, and it's simply like a sturdier device. Then now I'm gonna show you how it's working. And this is the same example as before. And I've also installed it here. So you can pass it around and you can see it with your and sorry for the silence. And you can try it there, but I'm gonna explain with a video how it works over. Yeah, so if you click the triangle, then you go into the GPS settings that are already set, so you can check it. These are the coordinates, altitude, etc. Satellites available, the compass, go to the map, and so on. Okay, that's good. And then when it becomes black, it means that it has taken the signal, so we can start collecting data. Then observer, James that day is going to the field, so James is gonna be the observer. Then month, November, you don't need this information because you will get the date, but I needed this for another thing. You set the date, you set the site, it's gonna be too slow, Copolia today, and then you start data collection along a transit, right? You put the number of your transit, the section, and then you can add some notes here if you want to remember what each square means or what each number means. Then which plant species is having fruits. So in this case, it's Gymnosperma, and it has 75 ripe fruits, 74, and 20 unripe, and now buds and fruits. So here you've got the save buttons. It's really important because you can have more than one. And this means that if you click the white one, it will go back to plant species because you are still in the same transit section cube. But if you click the black one, it will go back to change the transit. So that allows you not to go back all the way. And imagine you find a species that you don't know what it is. You can put other tab, type it in and say, okay, this can be this or that. Take a picture, and then it will save it in your data. And when you go back to the office, you can guess which species it is. So it works a bit like that. It sounds a bit like fast, but it's super simple and nice. Right, we spent like 1 day collecting data, and then we want to download this data, right? So we plug it in wherever, synchronize it, and it will look like this. So in the beginning, it will appear blank, all this, and we will have this on the side. So we will click the variables, and they will show up there. Just to set the order, to avoid including a variable that we don't want to. Yeah, and then you can see here what I told you about the data that are automatically recorded, right? This, many times we say, well, not the date and the time, but many times we say we don't have time to record the coordinates, let's not take them, but with this you could have like a tiny project of spatial distributions of the fruits, etc. So it gives you lots of flexibility, and it increases the quality of the data, I think, and efficiency. Now we are happy with the view because this is how it's gonna look like. So then we go to export view, and it will export it in CSV file. So it's an Excel, we don't have to do anything else. And this is how you will look like when it's downloaded, because for me it's a really nice feeling always when it's 10 seconds to download the data. It's nicely placed, there are no errors, and I can go and have a mojito instead of being like typing on down. Yeah, so now is your turn. I have to say that the webpage is really good, so there's lots of resources. There's a quick start guide that it's really nice. Since it's simple, you will find a way to do it. But if you want to contact me, that's my email, but obviously you can find me around and ask me some questions. And if there's a group of people interested in developing their own app, we can do like a short workshop, and I'm happy to lead it and yeah, just send me an email to see if there's interest in it. And that's it. So questions, comments, all that.
Qué fascinante. Hubiera existido cuando hice mi doctora.
¿Verdad? Ahí me salvo.
No, pero además de ser que te ahorra tiempo, también la eficiencia, o sea, ¿cómo se dice? O sea, para identificar las especies que estás considerando también es muy eficiente, o sea, ¿cómo se dice? La certeza, ¿no? De que sea la especie también
Claro.
es mucho mayor que si lo hicieras a ojo, ¿no?
Sí, porque puedes añadir fotos, de hecho, o sea, si no estás muy segura ya te digo, con ese móvil pequeñito, sacar la foto y luego se te guarda en el Excel, se te guarda el JPG de la foto. O sea, que puedes ir y mirarla tal, sí que está muy bien.
Pero ahora que mencionas, bueno, la foto que tienes de contar frutos, ¿cómo? O sea, toma como una foto así, como una pantalla de...
No, eso es, yo le he puesto, no sé si has mirado en el móvil, pero eso es como la Start Screen, simplemente porque se vea más bonito, puede ser negra. Es como para diferenciar las diferentes aplicaciones. Tenía para frutos, para seedlings and saplings, entonces simplemente algo anecdótico, más para personalizarlo.
Como, o sea, eso de contar frutos.
No entiendo. Los cuento y luego
No te lo cuentas.
Eso sería maravilloso. ¿No pones así en la hoja y te los cuentas?
Eso ya sería demasiado. Pero, oye, sacas un vídeo y a lo mejor te
Reconoce la especie. Toma la foto, pone la
Eso estaría
especie.
bueno.
Hay aplicaciones.
De qué tamaño.
Ya. Podían unirlo todo, ¿no? El conocimiento. Sí,
Y después te escribe el paper también.
claro.
Y cuando conectes te sale el paper.
Si una especie, tú tienes una de estas especies, pero si no de estas especies, si no te aparece, tú no puedes añadir otra categoría. Sí.
Esto es lo que yo, para evitar eso, lo que he puesto es una opción que es Other Plant Species y ahí puedo yo escribirlo. Pero, por ejemplo, imagínate que estoy viendo todo el rato que me aparece una que no tenía incluida. Yo voy a casa y lo edito.
Vale, pero tiene que ser de la aplicación.
Sí, no, en el momento no, si no sería una locura, porque puedes confundirte y modificarla. Pero luego tú llegas a casa y dices, voy a añadir esta que aparece muchas veces, ¿no? Sí que puedes irla editando y esto es súper potente, ¿no? El hecho de que tú puedas tener tu propio sistema de recogida de datos. Así. Y luego también, bueno, si hay más, no sé si hay más preguntas. Me rollo.
Yo continuando con la de Neko, el loader se te añade, no.
Es
O solo te añade a ese momento.
Se me añade como una nueva variable.
Vale.
Other plant species y luego yo sí, la añado a la de plant species una vez que la he identificado. Sí. No intento que sea lo menos común posible el de other, pero es como una forma de arreglarlo. Esto es algo personal mío, ¿eh? O sea, habrá 1000 formas de solventar ese problema. Pero se añade como una nueva variable, sí.
¿Puede añadir ficheros audio?
Sí, se pueden grabar audios. Sí, después se te guardan como, supongo que MP4. Nunca lo he hecho, pero
El Excel, después, cuando tú descargas. Bueno, sí.
te aparece como un adjunto, porque las fotos aparecen como al final y aparece un archivo como copiados en el Excel. Sí, lo de los audios no sé cómo, pero será como un cuadradito. Es cuestión de probar. Nunca me ha tocado coger audio. Pero hay screen de audio, o sea que seguro que se puede.
La opción bajo agua.
Depende de lo que decía, lo que comentaba con Eneco. Si hay un aparato que tú puedas bajar y tiene un Android, un móvil que puedas bajar y coger el dato.
No, ya. Igualmente me parece muy útil
Sí.
para la gente que trabaja bajo el agua, para que todo el mundo suba los datos en la misma base de datos en un momento. O sea, como que está bien.
Sí, pero no hay una.
Bajo el agua, un censo,
Hay tablets.
ya, pues, no todo. No son más
Sí, yo soy más lento creo que yo soy más lento con la pantalla que con la pizarra. A veces tienes que escribir rápido y no tengo
Ya,
tiempo
igual
hasta que
para-
aprenda en el estudio, ¿no?
Igual para cierto tipo de muestreo en el que tienes que ir mucho para atrás, para adelante
Sí.
o mirar algo no es tan eficiente. Pero, o sea, a lo mejor ya sabéis que existe y a lo mejor se os ocurre, oye, tal, pues para esto puede ser útil, ¿no? Porque es que a mí me salvó una cantidad de tiempo increíble, increíble. Y que es gratis, es fácil, o sea, por eso quería...
O sea, para unificar datos,
Sí.
subir datos está muy bien porque con Google Drive hay el problema de que si varias personas están subiendo a la vez, a veces se envían.
Ya,
Entonces creo que es muy útil a nivel de unificar y que grabas el motor, a pesar de que tienes que en ese momento poner que hacerlo, que vosotros no, porque lo podéis hacer en un momento, pero que quede todo en un mismo file. Y
sí, pero bueno, luego, ahora han hecho lo de Synchronize, o sea, Online Sync. Puedes tener un proyecto con todo tu grupo y ahí le das, si tienes internet, pum, se suben los datos, listo. O sea que estaría...
está bueno.
Y por ejemplo, con problemas de... Nosotros tenemos una tablet que conectamos para un micrófono que tenemos. El problema es que a la que esté al sol un rato, como en la carcasa estanca, eso no refrigera y con el sol se calienta mogollón y se apaga del calor.
Ah, ya.
Pues porque tienes que buscar también los dispositivos que te aguanten.
Bueno, luego hay el tipo Trimble este que estaba mostrando que ahora han avanzado. Es más caro, ¿eh?
Sí, sí, claro.
Es más caro. Nosotros, a ver, un Android y un móvil de esos te cuesta muy poquito dinero. Pero hay aparatos de estos para construcción y demás que ahora han avanzado un montón, que seguro que existe. Pasa que tendrás que pagar más.
Me tengo una de las tablets, hay tablets de tinta electrónica que tienen que ir súper bien, pero como también otro una de las pantallas que haces con el sol,
Ya,
el sol directo no se ve bien.
se ve bien.
Hay
Ya,
unas de tinta electrónica que te da sol, aparte que gastan mucha batería y te dura la batería semanas,
wow.
o sí, un mes igual. No, el sol no te, de hecho al contrario, el sol te hace que lo veas mejor porque es un papel. Es igual la combinación esta,
Sí,
estaría bueno.
sí, sí.
Alba, for interaction, how do you do it? Because interaction are
For pollination, you mean?
yes.
I think I've been discussing this with Laura because we used it when she went to the Seychelles, but for interactions, we are still using this.
Okay.
But I think you can, if you don't have many new species and you always have the same description for the insects, I think it can be quick because you could click, one click will be one observation, you know, instead of putting TTT. I think we can think about it and
Maybe you
make it
you
efficient.
can create
Yes,
something for that.
I think it can be done. Chris, my supervisor, never used it for pollination interactions, but I think we can make it work. And I always carry just in case. Imagine that I don't have battery or something to write on or the phone or something. So this is always not complementary, but yeah, that will be great.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's it, I think. Yay.